Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're in the studio. We're live. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Going to be talking about all things Manchester United. We've got quite a few stories to get through. A few transfer stories. A Marcus Rashford story, obviously. Where would it be without one of those? And a couple of other bits as well. So make sure, if you're not doing already, you're hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers. We're not that far away, but with your support, we will get there. Good to see the usual suspects in the chat already. Diego Santos, Steve Rollinson, Kevin Aitson, Santa Notch, and Maurice Marshall. Hello to all you guys. Just a quick one. It's Denis Law's funeral today. Obviously, lots of people will be there. I think it's in Manchester Cathedral, in the city centre. Expects a big crowd there to pay their respects to Denis Law, and obviously you'd expect the club to be well represented there. Absolute legend, an icon. The only man to have 2 statues at Old Trafford. And if you ever look at his goal-scoring record, it doesn't look real. When you look at it, you think, that can't be right. It must be a typo. It's just unbelievable the amount of goals he scored. First person I ever interviewed as a radio journalist as well, Denis Law, many years ago when I was on work placement. And he was the nicest guy you can meet, an absolute legend. So it'd be a good opportunity to pay our respects to a true footballing icon. Let's talk about Marcus Rashford. Let's get this one out of the way, because I know, I get it, we are turning into Marcus Rashford TV, and he don't even play for us at the minute, plays for Villa. But it's only right that we cover all the stories, because we covered it yesterday with the tweet or the Instagram post that he put out that was replied to by Jadon Sancho that said freedom with one of those emojis. Chris Wheeler, who's been on the channel, says here, sources, it's our tweet, but it's come via Chris Wheeler. Sources close to Marcus Rashford have indicated that he does not appreciate being dragged into Jadon Sancho's apparent beef with Manchester United after his freedom Instagram comment. Can I hear producer Ben there correcting that, saying it's appreciated instead of appreciate? See, I was thinking that, and I could hear your voice, producer Ben. I thought, am I hearing, is that my own thoughts I'm hearing? Have I gone, slightly mad, or is that producer Ben pointing out, yes, there's a little typo there, but we won't highlight it. It doesn't matter. Look, it's a bit of a circus, isn't it? I think the main takeaway from me with this is just Jadon Sancho's got no love for Manchester United. I've not really got much love for Jadon Sancho, if I'm being brutally honest. I don't consider him, one of those players that you think, oh, he was a great player for United, it just didn't work out. He didn't really do what we wanted him to do at Manchester United. He's gone to Chelsea. I think it's pretty much nailed on that he's going to stay there. I think that's the view to that move. I hope he does anyway, because I don't think there's a pathway back for him back to Manchester United for him, and I don't think there should. He's never really got going in a United shirt, and I don't think he's got going in his Chelsea shirt, to be honest with you, but that's their problem now, not ours. Rashford obviously unhappy with the way that's been handled or being played out, and doesn't want the drama, and he's trying to sort of keep Manchester United fans on side, which I get. There's not a lot of love for Marcus Rashford at the minute. I think a lot of people have been very, very critical of him. Some of it's crossed the line as well. Look, I hope he does well at Aston Villa. I hope he gets the permanent move, and I hope we get some money for him, and I hope we reinvest that money in areas that we need. And let's face facts, we do need reinforcements. On that front, Fabrizio Romano. I think this is from, where's this from? Team Talk. And it says here, Romano reveals 2 summer signings Man United will make. So if you scroll down here, it says Manchester United fully intend to sign players in 2 key positions in the summer, while Fabrizio Romano has also revealed to trade all of Ruben Amorim's arrivals moving forwards. That's must possess. So we've got Diego Leon. That's another one where the spelling's not great. Diego Leon and Aidan Heaven have joined, and also Patrick Dorgu. But according to Romano, there could be more signings on the horizon, but I don't think he specifically named them. One player that could be coming in, though, according to other reports, is Adam Wharton. This is Give Me Sport. They've run a story this morning saying, according to Give Me Sport sources, Manchester United are aiming to reinforce their midfielder. What is right? What is going on? Seriously. Like, listen, as someone who's got a B in GCSE English, the spelling today, no disrespect to our lot, but it's been a bit ropey, hasn't it? Reinforce their midfielder in the summer transfer window. It's midfield. Reinforce their midfield. Come on, people. To allow Fernandes to play higher up the pitch. Now, what it's saying here, basically, is that we're going in for Adam Wharton. Adam Wharton, who was the talk of the town money about a year ago. Forgive me, I'm just finishing that before it goes cold. Now, it says that United could be in for him. Now, I expect a few clubs to be looking at Adam Wharton. He's a very good player, obviously, at Palace. plays in that defensive midfield role, but can get forward. You could call him a 6 or an 8, depending on your point of view. He's been described as exceptional by former Arsenal midfielder Paul Merson. I don't know how much weight you want to put behind that comment, but he's obviously a very talented lad and is coveted by quite a few clubs, according to reports. We know that he was linked with City and Arsenal, I think, have been linked with him as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens. He hasn't played that much football this season. I think he's missed about half of Palace's games. I think he's had injury issues. So I don't know whether that's going to dim his lustre a little bit. Yeah, is that going to make people look twice at him and go, okay, he's only actually had, I think, about 20-odd Premier League games. Now, he's obviously done very well. He got himself into the England squad for the Euros, but there might be a little bit of hesitance by some clubs because there's still not that great sample size of him in the Premier League. Obviously did well at Blackburn Rovers, got the move to Palace, did well initially especially, but then has had these injury problems which have sort of scuppered him a little bit. I'm not saying he's not a good player, I'm not saying he's not very talented, I'm not saying he couldn't do a job for Manchester United, I'm just saying that maybe some clubs are looking at it going, we might want to hold fire on this one a little bit. Let's let him have a full season. They might want to assess it at the end of the season, see how many games he's played now he's got on. However, Manchester United are looking at him according to the reports that we're seeing, according to what Gimme Sport and a couple of other outlets are saying as well. Get involved in the chat in the comments, let me know what you think about all these stories. I've not looked at the comments for a minute. Andy Reid says media outlets should not have sacked their sub-editors. That is a great point. Glenn F., who's been a member of the Academy for 47 months. Thank you, Glenn. Morning all. What about forgetting about all the negative energy around the club and just be positive about Amorim? Positivity creates positivity. UTR and UTP. Harry Potter says morning Jay and morning Reds. I like that. A bit of positivity. Shilen Chudar Sama says Wharton and Bruno Fernandes. Jordan Murphy says, bro, we should never sign Wharton, honestly. We'll have a look at that. We'll maybe have a little bit of a look at Adam Wharton and a potential other signings. Akash K says Wharton will cost 70 million plus. You can have that. You can have the double tax, aren't you, with Adam Wharton? Because there's tax when it's an English player. You end up paying more. And it's also tax when it's a Premier League player. Because I know triple because it's tax when it's United coming in for a player. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. In terms of PSR, funding this signing, all the rest of it. Now, we spoke about Jadon Sancho. There could be some money coming in for him. There could be some money coming in for Marcus Rashford. We could end up seeing someone like maybe Alejandro Garnacho moving on. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the summer. He was linked with Napoli. He was linked with Chelsea as well. We'll have to see what happens there. Looks like Casemiro could be going sooner rather than later. It could even go before the summer. Now, you might go, Jay, what are you talking about? January transfer window. Sure, you're talking nonsense. But I think this is in the Mail. Says here, Man United agree to offload 375k a week flop for the rest of the season, despite the transfer window having closed a week ago. So, he could be going here. It says it here. You can see it. I mean, there's a lot of fluff there, but basically Flamengo manager Felipe Luis is reportedly interested in bringing Casemiro to Rio de Janeiro, with the Brazilian window closing on February the 28th. So there could be a move there for Casemiro. Look, Casemiro is not getting any minutes, is he? It's obvious the manager just doesn't fancy him. And if you look at who does get minutes, Toby Collier gets more minutes. I'm not knocking Toby Collier, I think he's a very good player, but Toby Collier is 20? Made his debut, his Premier League debut this season. And he's more of an option for Ruben Amorim than Casemiro. Now, Casemiro, to be fair to him, I know this doesn't tell you a lot, but I've watched him. Where I stand at Old Trafford is where the subs warm up. And he's involved in like chatting to his teammates. He warms up. I know this sounds ridiculous, but hear me out. It's obvious he's not fell out with the manager or spat his dummy out. He seems to be engaged. He's always sort of giving instructions. He seems to be someone who's switched on and he's up for it. I just don't think the manager fancies him. I don't think this is a situation where the manager's looking at him going, he's not trying, he's not showing me any effort, he's not up for it. I think you'd have heard something if that was the case, and you'd be able to see that with the interactions he has with the manager and with his teammates. I don't feel that is the case at all. I feel that just the manager probably looks at Casemiro, and if I'm being brutally honest, he's probably right to and thinks he's not quite the player he used to be, and he's not up to it anymore. Certainly not in the Premier League, and I think that's fair. So, getting him off the wage bill, 375k a week, even if it's just a chunk of it, would be massive, because at the minute you're paying 375k a week for someone just to warm up, which is insane. But this is Manchester United. This is where we're at. Gabe Owner says, yes, Jay, Wharton's line-breaking passes would improve us, no doubt. Something we lack in them sitting positions. That's a great shout. Jordan Murphy says, we keep buying these players who have great potential, but we've, as fans, never see them play more than once or twice. Akash K says, are the club trying to force Casemiro's hand here? I wonder, Jay. If I'm Casemiro, right, look, I know you're on big dough, and I know you're probably like happy to be getting 375k a week, and okay, you're not having to do a lot, but you want to play football, wouldn't you? He's 32 years old, and you think, look, how many years have you got left in you? 2, 3, 4? Do you want to waste any of them just being a glorified mascot for Manchester United when you're one of the best defensive midfielders of the modern era? You should be playing football. Okay, you might not be at the levels you used to be, and you might not be Premier League level, but there's a level you can play. I don't think Casemiro's ready for retirement just yet. So you think going back to Brazil might be the key, and get some minutes, play some football, play for a big club in Brazil. It makes a lot of sense to me. Let me know what you think. Hit that like button as well, please, people. What's this? INEOS dodgy dealings. Yeah, I saw this. This is New Zealand rugby team sponsor. Never ends, does it? New Zealand Rugby are set to take legal action against Manchester United co-owners INEOS after alleged breach of contract. Yeah, okay. So it's all out of INEOS, isn't it? I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not that bothered, but you can see here, the co-owners of Manchester United agreed a 6-year deal in 2021 to become an official performance partner to the All Blacks until 2027. Mail Sport report that the deal is understood to be worth around £3.6 million a year. However, it's been claimed by New Zealand Rugby that the petrochemicals company failed to pay the first instalment, Jesus wept, of the 2025 sponsorship deal. Why are they not paying the bills? What are they doing? Yeah? Do you remember that when you was a kid? You ever have that when you was a kid? The gas man used to come round for the money and you'd hide behind the sofa. That's like INEOS now. Is Glenn F okay? All right. I didn't. What was he saying? Miss my super chat again? It's a bit more about who Bryan Zaragoza is. He came through Granada and joined Bayern Munich in the summer of 2023. He's currently on loan spell to Osasuna, where he has done decently well. I can't cope, mate. He's done decently well. Hey, I tell you, Bryan Zaragoza. Yeah, I mean, we're not even there yet, but we are going to get into silly season with some of these transfer rumours. Bryan Zaragoza, don't know a lot about him. One footballer saying we're interested in him. I mean, he looks fine, 23 years old, very small, 5 foot 5 inches. Got a few Spain caps. I think me and Joe spoke about him a little while ago. Bit meh. We'll see. I'm not too concerned about what's happening with Bryan Zaragoza just yet. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't, but as always, we will keep you posted. One thing that is happening is Manchester United going to play Fulham in the FA Cup. See it here, nice picture of Joshua Zirkzee and Harry Maguire there. I think that was from Harry Maguire's perfectly legitimate onside goal the other day. Says United return to Old Trafford for the last 16 in the FA Cup as they will once again face Premier League opposition in Fulham. We have been stitched, haven't we, with some of these draws. United play a lot of Premier League opposition in the cup competitions, especially in the FA Cup. It does feel like there's a lot of games against top-tier opposition for Manchester United. You may disagree, but that's just my sort of memory of it all. We're going to play Fulham. If you remember, we played Fulham a few years, 2 years ago, in that FA Cup game where didn't everyone get sent off for it? Was it Mitrovic got sent off, and then the manager got sent off as well, didn't he? Remember Marco Silva went over to the monitor and he just absolutely lost his marbles. And if you remember, one of the images I remember from that game, and I think we've got a tweet here because I tweeted at the time. If you remember when Kenny Tete and Luke Shaw were having looked like they were having a bit of a row, and then all of a sudden they started hugging and then just watching the action with their arms around each other, which was quite heartwarming, wasn't it? It was heartwarming because we won. Otherwise, you'd have been like, what's all this nonsense? Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy game, that, because it looked like Fulham were going to do us, and then they just absolutely had a meltdown of all meltdowns. Listen, it is going to be a tricky one. Manchester United this season have been pretty woeful at Old Trafford, so I'm not looking at that and going, well, that's an easy one. Any Premier League opposition for United is difficult. Even Leicester, no disrespect to them, but Leicester's reserves were difficult for Manchester United. Southampton, who at one point were on course to be the worst ever Premier League team, gave us a good game. Well, absolutely played us off the park for about an hour. So I'm not holding my breath with that one. I would love to see us progress, and we should be progressing to the quarterfinals. We should be beating anyone at Old Trafford. I mean that, but I am a little bit concerned. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. Played Out says Wharton, not far off Rice, to be fair. Right. Me and Ronnie have this argument sometimes. Ronnie rates Declan Rice, and a lot of people do. I don't rate Declan Rice as much as anyone else does. I think he's all right. I don't think he's quite as good as some people say. I certainly don't think he's worth the money that Arsenal spent on him. Or is that just me? Let me know what you think. Akash K says, draw is bloody rigged. Sandra Notch says, they defo warm the balls. We were. For Prem clubs. I've heard this before. Was it David Moyes said something like that? When we had, you remember that draw that he had? When he was United manager. I think was it Chelsea and Liverpool in the first sort of few games, whatever it was. And he was like, oh, you know, have they been using warm balls or whatever it was? I can't remember exactly what he said, but he insinuated it was rigged. Do you know what made me laugh? I spoke about this on the Paddock podcast last night. Do you remember when we were drawn against Arsenal? And there was this thing on Arsenal Fans TV. We're drawn against Arsenal in the Emirates, and they were all moaning saying it was rigged. United rigged it. Ex-United players rigging the draw. I think if United were to rig a draw, we wouldn't go to what is probably, on paper, the second most difficult fixture in the league. Arsenal away. Why would you do that? Or I know it's the FA Cup, but why would you pick the most hard, one of the hardest games you could have? I know we won and we got through, but that wasn't that. You wouldn't rig it to do that, would you? You'd rig it so you had something like Plymouth at home, for example. Who's ended up with them? I wonder. Anyone? Yes. Typical, innit? Hey, honestly, live a charmed life down the road, don't they? Akash K says, if it's 40 quid for the Fulham game, I'll be there, please. No, 8 p.m. kickoff, though. Heaven Soul says, Arsenal fans have the IQ of frozen water. That was it. Heaven Soul says, William Silva and Mitrovic. Thank you. Jamie Chambers says, how do from down under? Jay, good to see you in the chat. People from down under. Thanks, Jamie. Santa Notch says, why would United themselves rig a draw for Arsenal away and not the FA? Exactly. Why would you choose that? You wouldn't, would you? Oh, what draw should we rig? Let's rig ourselves one of the most difficult draws we can come up with. Let's play the team that are flying in the Premier League away. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it, when we're terrible at the minute? Get a grip. I think it's just Arsenal fans love to just moan, don't they, and think everyone's against them and it's a big, massive conspiracy theory. JJA Entertain says, do you think City are being handed the FA Cup? Listen, they're having the rub of the green with some of these draws. Who've they had? Is it Salford, Leyton Orient and Plymouth? I mean, no disrespect. It sounds like that David Brent meme, doesn't it? You know, Taplow, winners. Like, they have had easy draws, but I'm not quite buying the whole conspiracy warm balls thing. I think City just stuff her. Chris Quigley says, Arsenal can play Liverpool next round. Ooh, wait. Nice. I see what you did there. Roland Thomas says, are we winning against Spurs then? That is a good question. That is like a stoppable force meets a movable object, isn't it? When you've got two teams that are basically rubbish playing each other. Ruben Amorim, he's not under pressure, I think, because he's new and everyone appreciates what he's trying to do. But he has obviously had difficulties with this team at times, getting him to do what he needs them to do. Hans Postecoglou, who's been there at his job a lot longer, I mean, his team have fallen off a bit of a cliff, haven't they, really? I think aren't they below us in the table, there or thereabouts, out of the cup competitions as well, I think. And they were looking at, you know, potentially winning the Carabao. I think they took a 1-0 lead to Anfield, which I didn't think was enough, to be honest with you. Everyone was getting a bit hyped up about that, and then they got battered. They got knocked out against Aston Villa of the FA Cup as well, so the only loan left for them is the Europa, but that could be us against them, so we'll have to be careful on that front. Santa Notch says, Arsenal fans just need an excuse to try and hate us. The 2-0 that ended their unbeaten run, Vieira's second yellow, etc. Good point, Notch. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Listen, a lot of you lot, yes, you, have had an issue with a certain journalist. You're not happy with him asking certain questions to Ruben Amorim. Feel like he's been a bit aggy, a bit aggressive. So we're going to get him in here and we're going to ask him about it. You know who I'm on about. He's going to be chatting to Joe Smith later on. So make sure you're hitting like, share and subscribe, because we'll be putting those points that you've been making to Jamie Jackson. I've been Jay Motti. This has been the Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.